point. His quiet presentation initially made me pause. Next thing you know, I was leaning in on every word. He does kind of have like a, this is going to sound wrong, like, shut up, grandpa's kind of talking vibe to him. Like, I'm not going to raise my voice. Like, you guys need to shut up if you want to hear what I have to say. Which is not like Tom Allen at all. Like, Tom Allen lost his voice probably the first hour he was at Penn State. So a little bit of a different vibe there. I'm guessing if they want him to, whoever the Mike linebacker is going to be will be able to hear Jim Knowles and understand him probably better than Tom Allen. But he definitely has
not
this,
understand Tom Allen.
He has this laid back approach, right? And it kind of makes me think of like Michael Scott when he's going through all like the different negotiations to get a raise, and like one of them is like to lean back and like mumble to make them come to you. And that's kind of the vibe. Like, he definitely was obviously comfortable during the interview and is confident in himself, but very kind of just precise with the words he had to say.
And his defenses are pretty precise too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of flows down, like, you could kind of see the defense in his personality a little bit, if that makes sense. So another thing too is he will be in the box. I think that seemed to be a big point of contention between James Franklin and Tom Allen. I don't have anything confirmed on that, but it definitely seemed to be
I
that
think
way.
so, for sure.
That Tom Allen wanted to be on the field. And you know what the weird thing is, Corey? Brent Pry and Manny Diaz were both on the field. So I don't know why Franklin was so gung-ho about Tom Allen being in the box and not Manny and Brent Pry. I don't know. But that seemed to be something that they had a disagreement with. And the good thing is we don't have to worry about that, because Jim Knowles said he prefers to be in the box. It's a calm atmosphere up there. You're not on the field with all the emotions and everything, and you can see the whole field. So that seems like it'll be something that him and Franklin will be aligned on.
That's a good point, Shawn. I mean, I think that was a little bit of a point of contention, because Tom Allen got used to being on the field because he needed to be there to hoorah folks. You don't have to hoorah folks at Penn State. We need you to be in the box, being the best coordinator you can be. Jim Knowles is comfortable doing that already, so there's not going to be a problem there.
Yeah, that's true too. Maybe Franklin didn't like the personality
he needed Tom Allen to stay focused. You know what I mean?
Energy. Yeah.
Like, you don't need your defensive coordinator to be jumping up and down. Like, you don't. Like, you need him zeroed in on the damn game. You got other people that can be the hoorahing. So,
yeah, like Brent Pry, I don't think I ever saw him get too fired up much. Like, he's a pretty calm guy. Manny was a bit fiery, but not too much. Like, not overboard. Like, he would get into
after
it
the play and stuff, but like, this sounds again bad, but and it's not a bad thing. Like, Tom Allen was corny.
He was. I think he would even say he kind of is.
Right.
Like, that's part of the package when you hire Tom Allen, is he's a bit of a square, and I happen to like Tom Allen. I'm a bit of a square myself, but that's just kind of what you're getting when you hire him.
Exactly. So, One Take State did ask us, is the rumor of Knowles not being the greatest in recruiting accurate? I did not plant that question. I swear to God, I did not plant that question.
He's not heavily involved in recruiting. That is true. I would remind you, Manny Diaz also wasn't heavily involved in recruiting. I don't even think Tom Allen may have been a little bit more than Manny, but yes, that is true that Jim Knowles is not as involved in recruiting, but he's not uninvolved. He's kind of like, think of it this way. Like, I think a lot of colleges take this approach. He's sort of the closer. So you get guys on campus, they're going to talk to Jim Knowles. He's going to tell them what he sees and what he sees their role being on the defense, and then try to close the deal. But is he going to be somebody like Deion Barnes, Terry Smith, Phil Troutwine? No, that's just not going to be that's just not going to be his role here. So to answer your question, it's partly true, but we have other guys to fill in those roles.
If you watch the last episode, you know how I feel about it. I'm not going to add anything else to it.
It doesn't hurt having him from Philly, as Cory would point out.
Speaking of recruiting,
it was National Signing Day today.
It was National Signing Day today.
And nobody even know.
Whom would have thought?
Yes.
What has happened to National Signing Day?
What happened to the game I love?
Just get rid of it. Don't even call it that. Penn State does end up with a class on National Signing Day. They end up with 15. Make sure I get this right. I think 15 have already enrolled, and then 12 more will arrive in the summer. So that puts you at 27 total in the 2025 class. They also added 6 in the transfer portal. So 34 new faces coming to Penn State by the time fall camp rolls around. The 24/7 Sports ranks them 20th. Their 24/7 composite has them 15th, 5th in the Big Ten. So, Shawn, we have this debate probably not debate, we agree on this, but we have this conversation every National Signing Day, and everyone wants Penn State to win a national championship and to be a top 4 team and blah, 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 blah. And says that James Franklin's, overrated. Can someone please explain to me why James Franklin's considered overrated when he's basically on average bringing in top 15 classes?
Barking up the wrong tree here, pal.
You know what I mean?
Like Josh Pate says, he is properly rated.
He's a top 15 coach, and he's bringing in top 15 recruiting classes. I would probably have him top 10, but whatever.
I'd probably lean top 10-ish. Yes. Closer to 10 than 15.
Yeah, obviously missing a national championship, but winning games at a high clip and doing more than what he is given as far as a roster goes. Statistically, you look at the data. As far as recruiting class coming in, average, and what's coming out, he is ending up with a better rank at the end of it all than it is. And it's not that simple. I get that. And there's the Saquon Barkleys of the world that messed that up a little bit. And the transfer portal kind of diminishes that argument a little bit. But at the end of the day, James Franklin is taking this top 15 class and is going to probably have Penn State end up in the top 10 at the minimum for the next 5 years that these kids are on campus.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think is most underrated about James Franklin is his player development. And guys consistently get better the longer they're here. Do you have a few guys that are exceptions? Sure. But like Tyler Warren, Abdul Carter, even guys, okay, you want to say, well, those guys are freaks. Okay. Take a guy like Denai Dennis Sutton. Steadily gets better every single year. Zane Durant steadily gets better. Kobe King steadily gets better. Like, this is a consistent theme. And not all these guys are 5-star guys either. Like, Kobe King was seen as kind of a part of a package deal with his brother. And he ended up being a better player than Kalen. Like, these are things that, like I said, I think one of the best things about him is his player development. I just kind of think, as far as Franklin the recruiter, like, this was a narrative that was born when he was at Vanderbilt. He's an elite recruiter, he's not a good coach. And people decided this back in like 2013, and then they just never moved away from it. And they just their brains stay back there. But that the numbers tell you different, and the development tells you different, that maybe he's not, although I do think he's a good recruiter, maybe he's not the tippy top recruiter that people think he is, but he's a better coach than people give him credit for.
I would just continue to argue it's hard to get a top 10 class at Penn State. It just is. Like year in and year out. Like I hate to break it to everybody. We have this conversation every year. Unless the regional talent is amazing, it's very hard to get top 10 talent. And even if it is, you got to battle like hell to keep those guys. Um, it's just not easy to do. Like you're asking a whole lot to basically go down south and pick up a handful of really good players and keep them throughout the entire cycle. Like, yeah, they got Justin Fields for a second because they found him early, weren't able to keep him. They've done that with a handful of players over the years. Probably the most recent one is what the Alvin Henderson kid running back from Alabama. Like the other kid from Alabama right there in Phoenix City, the defensive lineman that I already forgot his name. That I think ended up at Florida.
Yeah, I forget his name too. It's Marion
Like
Parker.
nice, good pull. Like it's just hard to do, right? And so like, and they're doing well at it, right? They've made some headway, especially in Miami of all places. They've done well at a couple high schools in Florida. They've done some good things in Alabama. It's just, and then they've done very well in like the Virginia Beach area as well. Um, but like, it's not an easy thing to do, and you can only do so much coming from Penn State. Now, the good news is some of the guys they've missed out on, the Nolan Rucci's of the world, have circled their way back. And kind of, I mean, think about it. They didn't have Nolan Rucci this year. You know what I mean? It was huge for them via the portal. So the portal helps James Franklin to that degree. I think Penn State's in a weird spot compared to other schools. Like I think it hurt Alabama because guys don't have to wait to play at Alabama. They can go somewhere else if it's just not work. They can go to Alabama and realize that, oh, there's other 5 stars that are really good too, and then they can go somewhere else that they want to play. That's good for the player. It's not good for Alabama. But for Penn State, like they're not recruiting at the level where there's if you're a 5-star guy, you're gonna have to wait. Like that's just not happening at Penn State. There's some really, really good 4 stars. Don't get me wrong. But if you're a 5-star guy, really the only position where you might not start but still play a lot is defensive line. Like Denai Dennis Sutton didn't start because they had a bunch of really good talent, but he still played as a freshman. And I guess that's what I'm getting at is at place like Penn State, you are going to play if you're a 5-star guy as a freshman. That is not necessarily the case, or at least it wasn't before the portal started. So that helps get some guys their first or second year. AJ Harris is a good example of that. In getting him, like those are the guys that Penn State maybe would have never got and are now able to get because of the portal, which improves that 15th ranked recruiting class to maybe top 10 ish. But it's not that easy to recruit. Like I think Franklin recruiting on average, like I don't know the numbers in front of me, but if you put all of his average, recruiting classes, he's probably right around 12. It's pretty damn good in this day and age, especially with where the NIL was at until recently.
Yeah, he's a good recruiter. And I think, well, look at it this way. In 1980, the 1980 presidential election, I'm bringing politics into this now. Everybody hide. The total amount of electoral votes in the state of Pennsylvania was 27. In 2024 election, it was 19. So that is a huge decrease in just 44 years. So what I'm saying is the population of Pennsylvania has gone down. The population of Pennsylvania has gotten older. Less people play high school football today. So you factor all that in, plus the state of New York, for whatever reason, it's such a big state, it doesn't produce that many good football players. So we have a big state to the north of us, but the talent, and usually we get the best guy in the state of New York,
Right.
or the second best guy in the state of New York. So you factor all of that in, and New England typically doesn't have the best talent either. Penn State is at way more of a disadvantage than it was, certainly in Joe's prime. When it comes
Same
to
thing with like
recruiting.
Oklahoma and Nebraska. You know what I mean? Like those places like Nebraska, Oklahoma used to be like the best talent was coming out of there. and it's just not. It's just
Yeah.
not. It's just not where it was. I mean, it's just this is what it is. So,
And at least Oklahoma still has Texas to the south of it. Like
right.
it's like you brought up a school like Nebraska. Um, it was just a different day and age. Plus, Tom Osborne was good at recruiting the coast. I don't know why, but he was. And it's hard to get guys to come out to the middle of the country. Like they're at way more of a disadvantage than even Penn State is, because at least Penn State, you're close to Pittsburgh, you're close to Philly. It's kind of right in the middle of everything. You're close to Baltimore, you're close to Washington, D.C. It's just a drive. Where Nebraska, if you're from, what's a city close to Nebraska? Like I know Lincoln's out there, Omaha's out there, but they're not Pittsburgh or Philly. And like if you're a kid from Detroit, your parents are gonna have to get on a flight to go to Nebraska, and that's a close big city to them. Chicago, same thing. You're still gonna have to get on a flight to get out there.
Right.
Whereas if you're from Philly, your parents could go see you play and be back. Could go see you play at noon and be back in time for a late dinner.
Maybe.
Depending on traffic.
I liked what One Take State said there. He goes, he has a long, really good sentence about old school mentality and all this, but at the end he just goes, Lambos versus tractors. So appreciate that. Shawn, is there any specifics? We can talk more about the 2025 class in another episode. I'll go through every single commit. Maybe we do that next week. But we talked about Julian Peterson. Am I getting that right?
Yep.
The corner / athlete, but most likely corner. We talked about him a little bit, but did you want to add anything to that conversation? Because we talked about it, but we didn't really drill into it. I think that was that right before the Notre Dame game? I don't even remember.
No, it was after. Yeah.
It was after? Okay.
Yeah, I just effed up. I didn't look into him enough. So
can we record that real quick? What'd you say? You messed up?
Cory, I'm way more willing to admit when I messed up than you are. Except on technical issues. You're very quick to.
That's the only time I mess up. and picking Wisconsin.
Picking Wisconsin. I was gonna be like, do we want to go through the season predictions again?
Only 2 times in the history.
So yes, okay. Julian Peterson. First thing that stands out to me is his size. He is I know at 24/7 it said he's 6'1". Some other places say he's about 6'2". Kind of in that role that Penn State has really liked the past couple years, maybe more than just past couple, where he could see him at safety or corner, physical player. You do want, like I said, I do wonder where he'll end up. He may end up at safety because he does love to hit. So he's going to bring some versatility with his size. He still has to get a little bit better as a player. Coming from high school, of course, but he's still a bit raw. But overall, I do like his potential, especially when you're, 6'2" and could run. Guys that are tall and could run tend to become good football players, and that's been the case so far. That's been the case for a lot of guys here at Penn State. So as long as we can hang on to Terry Smith and Anthony Poindexter, I think this guy could be a good player for us.
Perfect. I'm glad you redeemed yourself.
What can I say? Can't keep me down too long.
Shawn, I'm going to keep this episode short. So unless you have anything else to add, I'm good. Yeah,
I think we're good here.
Happy National Signing Day, you filthy animals. Yeah, I don't want to say we took a little bit of a break, but we have cooled off a little bit, which has been nice. But we will, you and I, Shawn, need to start talking about who we want to maybe go after for some guests, and go from there. But
yeah, we could start doing some interviews.
Yeah, for sure. If you didn't see, Beaver Stadium did release a little update video, like the renovations that they've done. So go look at that. That was kind of cool. Penn State men's basketball stinks.
Yep.
Wrestling's still very good. And We will have a Super Bowl. Hopefully, Penn State will have another Super Bowl champion. I think.
Yes, no matter what.
Who the hell's on the Chiefs?
Hunter Norzad.
Oh, that's right, the guard.
Yep.
Gerd.
Yep.
That's
and he is
right.
on the active roster and everything, so he is part of the team.
And Shawn, who's on the Eagles?
Well, a guy named Saquon Barkley, who was pretty good here, and
I think I've heard
Jahan
about
Dotson,
him.
who was also very good here.
Yeah, I saw Jahan Dotson. I think I retweeted it. Jahan Dotson saying that like Penn State and the 1-0 mindset prepared him for the playoffs in the NFL. So that was kind of cool.
Is there anybody in their defense that played here? I don't think so this year.
Their whole defense is just Georgia players.
And Brandon Graham.
I'm trying to think. They have DeJean from Iowa.
Yes, they do. Our old friend.
But I don't think they have anybody from Penn State.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Who do you think wins?
I think the Eagles are the better team.
I felt that way about the Niners last year too, and I felt like an idiot for picking against Patrick Mahomes.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. I would never bet against him. I would never bet money against him. But
no, and I don't know what's gonna. Oh, look, someone said Trey Castro Fields is an Eagle as well. He's on a practice squad though.
Good find. Yeah, he still gets a ring.
We call one take steak. One take state is so hard to say. I want to say one take steak. Really bad. Anyway, yeah, I am gonna say I just can't imagine them not getting the three-peat.
Yeah, but there's a reason a three-peat's never been done in the NFL.
Yeah, but they never even made it to the Super Bowl. No one's ever made it to the Super Bowl before. I think they've all lost in the conference championship.
I think so the Patriots would have the three-peat. Because they made three straight, but the way it went was they beat the Falcons, they lost the Eagles, and then they beat the Rams.
Oh, okay.
So it went like that.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but it wasn't like this where they had the two,
right?
And you got to win the third. Like it's so hard to just make the Super Bowl,
right?
And then to get back there another year, and then to get back there again. I mean, there's a reason it's never been done. Like football the NFL in general is designed to be hard to repeat.
Do you think that Andy Reid retires after this?
If they
would
win
it, if they would, yeah.
I think Travis Kelce retires if they win too.
Yeah. Did you see somebody ask
they
him?
might come, but they probably come back.
What did somebody ask him? Somebody ask him, does he love Taylor Swift or something?
Or Mahomes getting 15-yard penalties. Yeah, he got really mad.
I thought that some of the questions that guy asked were funny, but so I think he also asked Mahomes like who's his favorite referee or something like that.
Yeah, those media days are.
They let anybody in there.
Yeah, I know. We should go next year.
We could probably get in there.
We probably could. We could just be like, yeah, we're with State Media PSU. You ever hear Saquon Barkley? He went to our school.
Right. Anyway, I think I'm going to take the Chiefs to win, but I think the Eagles are the better team. So cop out answer.
I'm going to go with the Birds. My brothers are Eagles fans. I'd like to see them win for them. I don't hate the Eagles as much as a lot of non-Eagles fans.
Yeah, I don't mind them nearly as much. I don't like their fans very much.
Yeah, their fans could get on anybody's nerves. But I never grew up hating the Eagles like a lot of people did. And a lot of that's probably because both my brothers like them. But and I'd like to see Saquon win. Like I think that would be really cool for our best player in decades, if not ever, to win a Super Bowl.
And Jahan Dotson had to go through the 2020 season bull crap too.
Yep. He didn't get what he deserved in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
Like he deserved a better team.
So, and he didn't do very much. And I guess he had a decent year that first year with the football team at the point. The college football team.
Washington professional.
The Washington football team. He had a decent year there, but he's played a decent amount of the Eagles in the playoff.
He has, and he's kind of in a tough role because AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are there, and they have Saquon, and they have Dallas Goedert. So it's kind of a tough role for him. But whenever he's called upon, he's there.
Right.
And he's also been impressive to me as a blocker. Like a lot of these long Saquon runs, you see Jahan Dotson right behind him or right in front of him, blocking.
Yeah.
And that's something he did well here too. Like he was always a willing blocker. And I thought it was sort of an underrated part of his game. And it's something that he's continuing with in the NFL.
One Take State wrap this up says Saquon is only 34 yards away from 3,000 total yards in a season. It would be the first ever.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I'll say this too. I think the Eagles win and Saquon wins Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, because Jalen Hurts stinks. He's regressed so much.
He's not as good as he was 2 years ago. That's for sure.
No, definitely not. It just seems slower and like unsure of himself.
Is. Like he like runs like a power running back now, and like I remember his first year with the Eagles when he was still Carson Wentz's backup, and I kept saying to my brothers, they should just start Hurts. Like Wentz is awful. Like at least he gives you something, and it's because he was electric when he was carrying the ball. Now he kind of runs slow. And
he's having an Eddie Lacy transformation.
And something too, like he's gotten bulkier. Like he just
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he looks bigger and just doesn't move as well.
He's on the Eddie Lacy diet plan.
Yeah, he did play well last week. In the NFC Championship game, but Washington's defense also isn't very good.
Right.
That's if they had a good defense, they'd probably be playing Sunday.
Yep. All right. We're not here to talk NFL, but yes, Penn State will have another Penn State player in the Super Bowl, which cue that graphic, except for 5 since 1967.
We got to tweet that out.
Or
it's a yearly tradition for us.
I'll let you handle that one, Shawn. And all right, we will be back at some point next week. I don't think Monday's going to work for me, Shawn, so let's talk. Obviously, Sunday's not going to probably work for us. So we will talk about when we might want to do that. But we'll be back. And if you guys have certain guests that you would like to try to get on a show, we can maybe work to do that too. So that's Shawn Kane. I'm Cory Lestochi. You've been listening to Hardcore Penn State Football. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we will be back soon.